people out of the land of Egypt,
Okay,
which is America.
so that goes back to knowing the origin of the Bible stories. They all come out of the hieroglyphics, and they were altered and used as a doctrine of war because they know what genetic memory is, but we don't know. So they did the same thing you do to create a vaccine, core out the virus and give us the shell. That's what the Bible is. It's the shell. But if you already knew what the substance was, the shell becomes just a cover for it that you already know what it means. So when you read the words in red in the New Testament and they tell you this is Jesus talking, it's two people talking. These stories is the story of Horus and Isis blended together by Josephus Flavius in a 21-part play, and then the original play was called the Acts of the Apostles. But it ended up, the book of Acts was the introduction. The Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John was 4 excerpts. They also had a book of time, all of the so-called disciples. It was 21 different perspectives in the play. Because remember, at the time that this stuff was going on, they didn't have TV. So they was using plays to tell the story of the so-called Jewish savior. And the 21-part play took excerpts from the hieroglyphic stories that are coming forth by day, and all of the epithets used to describe the Jesus character is epithets that describe, most of them, about 80% of them describes Isis. And then it's about 20% of them that describes her son, Heru, which is the heir apparent to the God seat. So when they telling us the story, our genetic memory recognize enough of it to hold on to it as if it is the unshakable truth. When all the time it's an unshakable military strategy to dumb you down and trap you in a system of dogmatic beliefs that you can't defend yourself in the spirit realm using. But some of our ancestors figured out in the Vadum how to partner certain parts of the script with our ancient cultures in order to use them Psalms and them Proverbs to execute great motherfucking conjure shit. And that fucked them up because they thought they had took enough of it out that it'd be useless to us. And we still figured out from genetic memory, we knew what to pair with the Psalms in order to make it into a conjure that can be workable repeatedly, and then they was fucked. That's when they knew they lost, but they still had to fight.
Mm. Now that was deep. That was deep. So I know I actually messaged you a little bit about this personally. I just wanted you to go over a little bit more because I don't think I was really getting what you were saying. But when you made a video and you were saying how like a lot of the national debt right now is gonna be turned into debit, right? You said it's gonna be flipped. Can you actually go into that a little bit?
So they already paid off the debt that the corporation incurred in our name. That was part of the, I call it the $1 trillion program, buyback program,
Right.
but it was way more than the $1 trillion spent in
Right.
modern day fiat value. But in real value,
definitely.
it's still going to be under $1 trillion in real value. But in the inflation value, it was something like $100 trillion.
Damn. Are you saying?
But all of that stuff is paid. That's paid off already.
Are you
To
saying
close the
just in the
corporation?
U.S.? Are you saying just in the U.S. or like worldwide?
No, this we only concerned with America because that's where we at. But this is a global phenomenon.
So you're saying the
That's what the BRICS,
global debt is 100
right?
trillion? Okay, yeah, I'm definitely not surprised.
The BRICS nations is damming back the dollar bill. They forcing it back over here for us to have to switch currencies. That's why they calling them bricks. That's strategic. That's the brick wall. That's a dam. Currency is the current that you see, which traces the flow of energy, the same as dye in a river, right? So if they build a dam by everybody blocking that currency out, all of that currency and inflation has to concentrate at home. And that's what's the banks collapse is contingent upon the BRICS nations forcing the dollar back home, because when the dollar can't move, when it can't circulate, it begins to lose value more rapidly than they can increase inflation. And this is why they damming up the global flow of the American dollar. This is just a strategic move, and it makes perfect sense to me.
Can you kind of go into that a little bit? Because that was a little confusing. So how exactly are they using that to dam up the United States currency?
Forcing the currency back home. Nobody's using it but us.
So you're saying to only make it local within the United States?
Right. Once they make us have to take all of that fiat money around the world back over here, ain't nothing we can do with that monopoly money. Now we just got a big ass pile of paper with dead president faces on it. This is gonna force us when the collapse come and the banks fall, because they have to fall, then it's gonna be a whole new system of banking. Everybody gonna pretty much over here, we gonna all be fucking rich. So everybody complaining about the immigrants. I'm sitting here like, shit. They all military age immigrants coming across the border. I'm like, shit, who the fuck gonna work? Who gonna get the jobs now? Everybody getting $15,000, $20,000 a week. Who gonna go to fucking work for $18 an hour, $25, $30 an hour? Who gonna go to work? Nigga, I make more than that sleeping on my ass. What the fuck am I going in there for? This is the position we gonna be in. So yeah, the UN, what's ever left of it, because it was closed under Donald J. while he was in office. They closed that motherfucker down. And now they telling us it's open. I don't know. I got to get somebody from New York to see if any flags flying there for real, because they didn't have none there for over a year. So if they reopen the building, I want somebody from New York to go down there and tell me, because I'm not going to believe what the fucking news is telling me, because that shit's scripted than the motherfucker.
Nah, facts though. So
they keep
how long
asking about the Snyder Act. If it requires you to register for something, sign a document, it's a trap. And that's all I can say about it. On the flip side, it's going to wind up working out in our benefit as long as we don't use it as an excuse to resurrect the contract of a dead entity.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what the Snyder Act is, so that must have been from somebody's comment. But
yeah, that was from a comment. But it's all related to the money.
Oh, okay.
Under the Snyder Act is an updated bill where when we was Negroes, we wasn't getting that. Now they dropped the Negro. The Snyder Act ensured that we get a payout, but the payout is through the system that they were supposed to been giving us the whole time as stipends and allotment as an occupied people. But they was holding the money and they was giving us credit in place of currency. So they'd take $1 million worth of gold and give us $100 million worth of credit. It's called fractional reserve banking. We never see the gold. All we see is the monopoly money that they gave power of purchase by order that doesn't have any true value.
Yeah, so let's actually talk about that, man, because I was really thinking, so why do they have the gold and the silver just kind of stored up? You know, it seems like they can't use it for a specific reason.
We was in a warlock. When you in a warlock, Big Mama sealed all the coffers, because the first one to run out of means to finance the war gonna lose.
So you don't think possibly that it has to do with the fact that maybe they don't have rights to the since they don't have rights to the land, right? Since you're saying this is our land, um, I'm thinking because resources are typically tied to the land as well. Oh my god, my lights just went off. Hold on. So yeah, like resources are typically tied to the land. So I was thinking that they don't since they don't have rights to the land, they don't have rights to the resources. So therefore, their money cannot be backed by gold or silver because we have land rights, and they don't.
You kind of right because they not supposed to trade in our wealth in the open market. The mineral wealth from the land, most of it, like we pump more oil or just as much oil over here as they do in the Middle
Yeah,
East, and it's not allowed to be traded on. It's supposed to only be used when the nation is in the time of war. So they use it in the military, but they don't use it for the civilians.
yeah. Because when we look at the whole entire like corporate system and their legal system being dead, I know that I mean this is a little different perspective, but if you kind of just look at their system, right, it's like corporation dead. Everything about them it seems like it's dead, right? It's because
Mm-hmm.
spiritually they're also dead as well. So since like you were saying earlier that they're using they're using us as credit pretty much. They're using our power, just like they use it with everything else when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to our culture and everything like that. They're pretty much using our credit, our power, our soul energy. And so the fact that they have a dead system proves that they don't have their own energy. So yeah, so
They
their
don't got
current
none of their own shit. Everything they got, they stole
exact
it from us.
exactly. And since money is like, is green, right? Like kind of I think Young Elder was talking about this, right? So it's like it symbolizes the life energy, but they've enslaved us with our own energy, by
Mm-hmm.
symbolizing life, right? But so since they don't have their own life energy, their money that they created, their Federal Reserve notes, it can be backed by anything real. That's why it's backed by credit alone.
Right. But remember, we wasn't taken off the gold standard till 1933.
Mm-hmm.
And when they took us off the gold standard, it was illegal for civilians to own gold.
Yep. Yep.
It used to be before that, if you went down to Mississippi, Louisiana, or somewhere down there, and you asked one of them old dudes for money, he'd flip you a gold coin. It probably had his mama or his grandmama face on it, but you put it on the scale and it weigh out to an even gram. It was a gram of gold. He give
Yeah.
you the gold coin and you go on about your business.
Yeah.
That's where they had this cartoon skit uh, where the guy walking around with a cup and he's like, "Can you help a poor American fellow citizen who's down on his luck?" And they throwing coins in there. We thinking they throwing like quarters or silver dollars. Them gold pieces from from a bygone era before 1933. When
Yeah.
1933 came, we were supposed to have a system in place, but they got the extension because of the war of 1812 we just went over. Once they
Mm-hmm.
got the extension, now they have to figure out how are they going to pay for this shit.
Yeah.
And that's when they came up with fractional reserve banking, and it comes straight from Switzerland.
Okay. Okay. And I also wanted to add on to as well, just thinking myself that um when they usurped our land, um with the whole entire idea that energy is not destroyed, it's just really transferred. So to add on to the whole entire thing that I was saying, right? So when that energy got transferred over to them, they didn't have the rights. They didn't have the rights to be able to claim that energy. And so they had to create like a fake corporate legal
Well,
system.
we had war, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so during the war, they settled on the land as what they call a UN peacekeeping force. That's how they came in. Then they
Okay.
stretched
Okay.
out across the land and they crossed they was never supposed to cross the Appalachians in the war. All of the tribes west of the Appalachians was never supposed to encounter this war. But they ended up using our defeat of the French as the excuse to advance and back doors while we was fighting the Gullah Wars.
Yeah, can you kind of go on a little bit?
While we fighting these wars, they have to figure out. It's a lot of what you call logistics when you settle a territory. You can't just go in and set up camp because the people gonna oust you.
So you saying
So
there's pretty much like war codes,
yeah,
like war conduct. You can't just go in there, yo, I'm gonna kill everything, everybody, I'm gonna take over the land.
right. That's how they came at
It's
first
kind of
because they
like,
thought that
oh, okay, right. It's like you kind of got to play chess with them.
right.
You got to move this piece over here. If you move this piece,
That,
you know that could.
that's the Conjure
Okay,
War part. Yeah,
Now I
that's the
get it.
Conjure War part. Now, when they first came, it was all out warfare. Right. From 1492 to 1776, we didn't let up.
Yeah,
Right. Because of the Conjure War in 1776, when they wrote the Constitution in the blood of Crispus Attucks, that trapped us into the Conjure War. But they kept breaking all of the rules, so we continued to fight, which gave all the way up until 1812. So when you go back and look at the Seminole Wars, it gives you a better time frame of our struggle than looking at American history. Because the American history tell us the victors part of the story that make us proud to be conquered. We into that shit. We love being conquered. No, the fuck we don't.
for
We
real,
just ain't figured out the way out yet.
for real.
Yeah, but there's rules to war, and they follow most of them. But when the Conjure War started, they kept breaking the rules, and we kept fighting, and they kept getting extension after extension up until 1812. Once we realized that, damn, every time we start fighting these motherfuckers with spears and guns and knives and shit, they get an extension. So we don't want them to have no more extension. This is why this is why Garvey took his military and disassembled it. He don't need it. This don't have anything to do with guns and bullets. It's all about how many books can you read in a lifetime,
Damn.
basically.
So you saying this whole thing is really gonna be fought with a pen and paper?
Yep. The paper was the paper chain that kept us in slavery. The anchor to the paper chain was the Constitution written in the blood of Crispus Attucks, one of the chiefs of the land. The doctrine that they used to institute that constitutional mandate is in the Bible, where it said the blood of the righteous shall not be spilled in vain. If you scroll my page, I got posts on all this stuff with the receipts. All of this, everything I'm saying, I done already dropped the receipts and posts for the last 4 years. Some of them I done recycled receipts and reshared receipts that's old, because a lot of the people that's just now locating me where I'm at is just now finding this information, and they coming in and they seeing something that they haven't done the background to know exactly where I'm coming from with this information. They just know that it resonate for a reason, but they don't know why. Because our history is, read our culture, we recognize it, right? So when I tell people certain stuff, I still got the receipt, even if I don't show it right now. I didn't show the receipt already, and sometimes I have to go back because I get a knock on the Wind Talking channel, and they'll tell me to share certain information, like the Garvey thing. I got a whole post dated from the time of the hurricane when I first seen it, where I was translating the data to find out if it's really what I thought I seen. And it was exactly what I thought I saw.
Yeah, so actually I didn't hear this part earlier when you was talking about it, but what did you say he meant when he said you're gonna find me in the eye of the hurricane